Hey guys, welcome to Clarity Through Chaos, Clarity Through Conversations with the Opposite Sex. Super pumped about today. I have my new friend Jeff on the vlog for Male Perspective. And when I say friend, I've known him about 2 weeks or so. I tend to do this. I tend to find people, befriend them. If you've ever had questions like, what goes through a guy's mind the day after we sleep together? Or does sex on the first date ruin things for us? We have your answers here. From one person's point of view, but it's still fun. And also, we just met, so I'm asking someone some pretty intimate questions and it gets a little weird. So I hope you enjoy it. Thought some male energy on the vlog would switch it up. And here we go. Okay guys, I'm here with Jeff, my new friend that I've known for like 2 weeks now.
About give or take.
Give or take. I know him well enough to have let him in my home, but not well enough where I can like give you his life story. So we're gonna ask him some questions. First off, why did you even agree to do this?
Well, for starters, you had a presence about you that just made it very comfortable to just chit chat and talk.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, do women approach you a lot?
No, not like that. That was definitely the first time someone just casually. I think it's, having the animal, having the dog is just one of those situations where it cuts off that bullshit of trying to pick up someone and just gets more to the human kind of just normal conversation level.
Yeah, it was funny because you didn't have headphones in, and normally like you're walking and people are just so antisocial. So I was like, all right, cute dog. Cute guy.
Kinda. Shirts off.
He seems okay.
But my ass was to you a little bit, so it wasn't like I had to kind of give one of those. And say,
you did. You had to turn around.
Yeah.
But what did you think my intentions were when I came over?
So
you never get the chance to ask this to people.
It's a great question because I think we are so conditioned to think that the initial intention is always, what is this person trying to get?
Right.
What do they really want? And obviously with a female to a male, it's it can be skewed, right? Because not many women want to approach a man in that way, right? So, but even with that said, I never took it as that, just because I am one that if I approach someone, I don't want it to come across like I'm trying to hit on you. I want it to come across like, who are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Jeff.
Right, like just being open to meeting another person.
Yeah, and I just think we've just got conditioned to always have this thought of, why is this person doing this?
It's so true.
And it's sad and it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
So.
Well, I think that a lot of women are afraid to go up to guys. And I kind of just, I don't know, like I surround myself with a lot of driven, smart, successful women, but they won't go up to a guy. So what would your advice be for them if they want to go up to someone?
I don't think it's me. I think it's you who needs to give the advice. You're the one that...
But you're like the hot guy. No, so I feel like you have to tell them like, hey, it's okay.
So that right there, right? And this is where, to the hot guys out there, don't be or act like you are this hot guy. Act like you're just a guy and just wanting to let people into your circle.
I think it's like being open. Give off an impression that you're open to meeting others.
And I didn't get the dog for that, but the dog helps.
How do you normally meet people? And like obviously this whole pandemic has been insane. Have you been dating during this time? Like apps?
You made a comment earlier about the apps.
I did.
And listen, I don't shun away from it. I was mentioning to you as well, like, I guess I turned that corner to embrace the apps and not look at it as this shun or this thing that we've kind of also put in the context that you met somebody through an app. Now, there are apps that I don't want to meet people through, but there is an app I would give more credit than the others that I feel has that, I don't know, that power to kind of connect more than the others out there.
So you're on the apps that are kind of, do you read the profiles? Like, are you a reader?
Believe it or not, don't get me wrong, I am a male, so my attraction is going to be physical at first, right? But then, I am curious to see how you present yourself with your response to very simple questions, but are they given thought, right? Are they creative? Are they funny? So it's a matter of trying to show a little personality, right? Because that's all you really need. I mean, you should try at least to gauge some personality.
So it's not so shallow.
Not even just shallow, but show like no idea of who this person is. To just give me a little bit to just work with, and we can start from there.
On that note, for guys, I want to know, what does it mean to be a man to you?
Oof, that's a fucking question.
I know. You didn't think I was going there.
It's a great question.
Can I add a double question to it?
Let's just go with this one first. Let's just let me get this one out. It hasn't changed, but it has changed. And for reasons that I personally feel are for the better for men in general. And with that said, I can only speak for myself. And I'm someone that has been able to get in touch with my feelings or my sensitive side and kind of look at that as a strength and a vulnerability, and not this weakness that I think it's been built up for generations. And so I still think that mindset with the older generation is still very much intact, and that's not going anywhere.
Like you're saying, like our parents' age,
right. So that's one component that I think has changed for the better. If you're able to sit in your own skin and be comfortable and expressing yourself,
I love that.
True to yourself.
A lot of people would never even say that.
That's the whole thing. So that response is the usual answer I get.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear, but in all honesty, it's sad to me, right?
It is
because
sad.
It's like I'm not doing anything different. I'm not doing anything that's.
You don't want to be glorified.
No, it's
for
just
saying like, hey, I'm in touch with my feelings.
So segue.
Please.
The dates I've gone on and the women that I've sat with, they're just like, why can't guys just be like you and just communicate and confer, right? And at the end of the day, I think a lot of women just want some normalcy in communication, right? And with that has to come some, level of vulnerability, And
I also think it's emotional availability.
Well, that's it too. Yeah. So, I don't know per se when it comes to men and their emotional availability how that works in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it could take longer for others to get to that place, but I think with emotional availability comes being honest with yourself and vulnerable and things.
Very
of that
true.
nature. So
it's a good answer. I like it. What would you say the best and worst part of being a man is?
I'll go with the worst part because it's something I constantly and unfortunately deal with probably every day, and it's this what we identify as success, right? And how the male or the man mantra is to be successful, and successful unfortunately has the connotation of lots of money and lots of things and maybe freedom even, right? And while I strive for that, right? It can be very detrimental, I think, to your mental health, I think to your well-being. Unfortunately, comparing and contrasting your life to others who have gotten maybe somewhere where you think you're supposed to be, not supposed to be. So a lot of it probably has to identify with success and just that component of I have to be this successful person, right?
It's like a blessing and a curse.
Right.
Appreciate you answering. Okay, another one on this like male topic. Is chivalry dead?
I think it also depends on who you ask and who you're speaking to. In my case, no. But it sounds like you've either experienced it or you've seen it where it might be dead, and that's unfortunate. Does it need to be me going around the car and opening the door for you? I don't know if I have to.
Yes.
You want that? I mean,
I want the door open.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that, right? But every time, I literally have seen I don't know where I was, but he got out. I mean, and it was the whole.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Doesn't have to be every time, I guess.
No, this guy did it every time. I felt that he did it, but that's also
amazing.
it. But she was expecting it too, and that's where it's not healthy.
Yeah, you don't want to expect
like she's
someone
just
to
like,
be your,
where's he coming?
servant.
Yeah, let's see. Really
No, exactly. I think, I've experienced both. I've experienced guys who just have good manners.
Well, that's
which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's guys who, and women too, by the way, can be equally as bad.
Sure, but
in
let's
other
be
ways.
in all honest, it's probably leans more towards.
I think,
male.
especially in New York City, chivalry is defined as so many different things as from what I was raised. So like taking you to an expensive dinner.
Okay.
But then you're on your phone the whole night. You know what I mean?
As the guy's on
As the
phone.
guy.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you're taking me out, but then
see, that goes back to the money component, right? Because you think
Right.
you're doing this financial thing
Correct.
that you're able to. So I don't even know if that's chivalry. I would just kind of look at that as what's the word? It's disrespectful.
Yeah, it's
you know?
rude.
Yeah, it's rude.
It's rude.
Yeah.
But like, opening a door. It's
Yeah,
like I think
those-
women today, we need less caretaking.
Okay.
It's more because we have jobs
Yeah.
and things like that. Like somehow we live in apartments and get up and go to work
Look at this
every
beautiful
day.
place you
I
got,
mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Also think there's Peter Pan syndrome that
Okay.
goes on today.
Yeah.
We can call it
I
fuckboy
was gonna
syndrome.
say,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
AKA fuckboys.
Yeah.
And, I think to your point, it's timing in life when you meet someone, it's compatibility, it's emotional availability. But I just think when you meet a guy, here's what goes through my head. I meet someone and I'm like, awesome. We have chemistry. We have what seems to be some level of compatibility. I would like to get to know him more. Okay, guys who have Peter Pan syndrome, they don't view it that way. Like, I just think it could be so awesome to go on another date. Like, we're not asking to get married tomorrow. So why do you think guys freak out and have this syndrome, if you will?
If a woman wants to go on a second date with a man, yes, that minuscule thought is in there somewhere, but I wouldn't say it's preventing him from getting that or wanting to go on that second date.
Okay.
I would unfortunately say that from the first encounter, he just didn't feel it maybe, and that was just his way of saying no.
So you don't seem like a fuckboy.
No, I was.
Okay, you were.
Yeah.
So I've been out with guys like a bunch of times, but they're saying, I like you, I want to see
Oh, I
you
see
again.
what
You know
you're
what I mean?
saying.
It's
I see
not,
what
I
you're
get
saying.
if you don't like me,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
move
yeah.
on. But if it's going so well, I just don't
So
understand.
wait, so you and the person are having this chemistry the first date,
Yeah.
and
Let's say we even go on a second date.
Okay, go
But
on.
then it's like the Peter Pan syndrome kicks
I
in.
think it goes back to what you said earlier about emotional availability.
I think maybe
because-
just they're not in that place. Like, and
It's-
maybe it can be true. And I see a therapist.
Yeah,
But
let's do it.
maybe you can like someone and be attracted to them and still not be there. And then therefore you still want to have sex. You still want to have intimacy. So you do that, but you're not going to commit. I've actually been that person. I think what's tough in New York City is it seems to be later and later in life. And like, you're 35. But like guys,
Don't say it like that.
sorry, not
Jeez.
not later in life. But like,
God.
but I mean, I'm 33, and even
Oh my God,
I
you're
know,
33?
I know. And some days I'm just like, you've got it so good being by yourself. Like,
Me or
no, me.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
yeah.
I say this to myself.
Yeah.
But I've been that person where I've been like, I like you, I want to sleep with you, you make me happy, and I will not commit to you. And I think it's
Oh,
just
you won't commit.
I've been that person before, years ago.
So why wouldn't? Because that's usually flipped, right?
It is, but I guess what I'm saying is maybe the fuckboys, get at times can get a bad rap because everyone wants intimacy and connection, but they're just working through their own stuff. Like maybe that's as simple as it is.
I think you answered your own question.
And they want to hook up,
I
so
think-
we're gonna do
I
it.
think you answered your own question because
But be upfront about it.
So
don't lie to me.
So perfect. So
don't
that's,
be like, oh, I love you.
No. So perfect. So if I am going out or if I'm gonna go out with someone, I'm gonna be very clear from the beginning. I'm only in this for this.
Right.
Is that cool with you?
I think sometimes we hear that and then want to change it.
But that's what I said. So that's what I'm.
That's not right.
Right.
That's
so
not
that's
right.
not gonna happen.
Correct.
Right. So like if I.
That's when you run, ladies.
Or you have fun.
Or you have fun, but if you don't want it, just know.
No, that's not going to change, and so
you know what?
Interesting.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I placed the emphasis on finding someone as like success, like you talked about career, and I was like, what's the one thing that I want more than anything? And it was a relationship. I don't feel that way anymore. Actually, I want happiness.
Yeah.
So I would wake up in the morning and be like obsessing, like, are you going to meet someone today? What are you going to do? And it was too much.
Do you find that women do that a lot?
I do.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't want that. I want hobbies.
So how do you help women with that? Because I feel like there's a lot of women that probably have that very similar feeling of
I know
this urgency, and I think that's where you also find bad relationships, right? Because people go into something that they shouldn't be going into because of the reasons their mind are convincing themselves of.
Well, it's funny you say that. So what I would say is there's a couple of things. One, what are you running from? What are you trying to distract yourself with? This relationship, what void are you filling in yourself? And this is, by the way, relationships are awesome. This is when you're obsessing over it to an unhealthy degree because you're on many levels unhappy with something inside yourself. So honestly, since the start of this pandemic, I've just been working on me. I'm down.
Amen.
I lost like 13 pounds. Thank you. Just trying to be fit like you. Been eating better. I started the vlog during Corona. And just focusing on yourself actually and asking yourself, like, what are the things you enjoy? Segue.
So it's everybody's, but I don't think people have I'm not saying people in general, but there are those who maybe lack certain awareness within themselves, right? So there's, mind, body, and spirit, right? I think are really the cornerstones of inner happiness within people and us in general. And so, but with those three pillars, and throw in heart, you have to, in my opinion, work within those constructs. And so you mentioned therapy.
Yes.
I'm in therapy, the mind.
It's the greatest.
It's pretty evident that mental health is a real thing. And people, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, are having thoughts that probably aren't healthy for them. And so I'm not saying therapy's for everybody, but that's something you should really, take into consideration and work on. And the body, right? We have this vessel for a reason, and give it love.
I like that you called it a vessel.
Well, it is, because you're here for so long, life is a short little window in the blip of things, and I want to have the strongest, most athletic vessel through this fucking thing.
Right.
And it's never going to be what I want, right? But I'm always trying to improve it to a better place, and soul, right? Or heart. And that comes to what you genuinely enjoy to do, Fitness is a great component of my life, but, being creative is also another one, and art and drawing and, things that kind of give me that spark, and I think those three things can be used for any human being, right? So if you put your effort into that, things will manifest and will kind of flourish in a way, but you have to give it time. It's not going to happen overnight, and there's levels of commitment and dedication and things that you have to be willing to sacrifice.
It's true.
So
you could be me in guy form.
Totally.
I think so. I want to talk about sex. Okay. Are you going to start sweating?
No.
Does sex on the first date ruin the chances of a relationship?
Yes.
I knew it.
My opinion.
It's literally ruined every relationship I've ever had. So when should it happen?
Just not the first date.
Like the second date?
I mean, maybe, but, not the first three, I think.
Yeah.
But
you could write like a novel for how to date successfully.
you know, it's not rocket science.
I know. I think in like
it's-
older age,
you know.
I'm learning that because I went through a period where I just was like,
Well, I mean, I
Go
shouldn't really be talking because I'm 35
do you.
and still single. So, but
so
you know,
basically the both of us have some issues.
yeah,
That's
we
why
all,
we're
we
here.
all do.
Walk me through the mentality the next morning after you've slept with someone. And here's why I ask. So I know exactly what I do. It's like I call my friends. We literally, oh yeah, like if you've been out on a date with someone who you like,
Okay.
and then you've slept together, then I'm making myself.
This is
look,
after the
I'm
first
making
date?
myself look psychotic.
Is this after the first date or this after?
It could be just in general.
So this is just.
This is just in general.
Okay.
Like after you sleep with someone, I feel like something happens emotionally where you're like, oh my god, and it's true. I'm being honest,
I'm listening.
but
Yeah.
so you know, like, and my girlfriends, it's not just me. They'll be like, oh my god, last night, like here's what happened, and then you're on the phone with like 3 of your friends, and it's just like you're bonding. It's what you do. And then, you know, you're playing it cool, and then you're like, all right, did he text me? Like, do I text him? There's, I think, a level of anxiety associated probably with sleeping with someone that you're not in a committed relationship with. I think this is kind of more along the just met someone
Mm-hmm.
spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes through a guy's mind? It's like, we leave. What do you guys do? What's the thought process?
So I'm gonna keep kind of bringing it back to the emotional availability
Mhm.
within this situation, right?
Okay.
And there's two sides, right? It's either the individual is emotionally available to be with this person, and that should
Right.
be conveyed or expressed somehow prior, or he's got no emotional availability and he's moving on to whatever the day goes and passes
Right.
him by. So
I love that you were like shocked when I started to say this.
it's cute. It's cute. I don't think I ever really considered like they do that, you know. But I mean,
Oh, we
but if it's
Not all of us.
if it's a woman or a girl that we want to see again, I'm sure at some point in the day we'll say, hey man, I had a good time with this person.
Right.
I don't know. So I also don't know if I would go into saying I slept with her, because then that might add a connotation about her in a way
Okay.
that you don't want to present to the guys, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would look at it.
All right.
You know,
you're a
because
stand-up guy.
Because if this is someone you want to take further down the road, you want to have I mean,
you don't want to just be that.
But yeah, you want to show respect for the person too.
It's just so funny how guys and girls are so different.
I mean, in that sense, yes.
That's very. We covered a lot of my later on questions earlier, so I'll ask you one more. What are you most excited about for the future?
For me, I'm in a extremely transitional period of my life, so I'm most likely, I am changing jobs and going into my family's business, which is something that I'm excited about. It's probably just something I've been apprehensive for some time.
Mhm.
So the potential for success there is very possible, and that excites me. Yeah, I'm also excited to meet that person and really start something, real.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
yeah,
Thanks for doing the vlog.
This is
Appreciate
good.
it.
You hugging out?
Yeah, we'll hug.
I'm good.
We're 6 feet apart, guys. 6 feet apart.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone.
I will.